Blessings, Planting Seeds whānau. Have an absolute treat on the show today as I sat across from Hone Harawira and we talk about him as an activist, him being a radical, and also what it's like here on Waitangi. Is he happy with where things are at in this new generations of activators, of protesters, and much, much more. Please enjoy this conversation with Hone Harawira. Alright, kia ora te whānau, Planting Seeds whānau. We've got a bit of royalty sitting across from me i te rangi nei. Hone Harawira, nau mai ki tēnei whare kōrero.
Tēnā koe, boy, ngā mihi.
Thank you for taking the time for coming in and having a kōrero, because I feel when we think about Waitangi and we think about your journey, I feel you have a real straight up attitude about things. And where does that come from for you, if we can start there?
Yeah, from my mum.
True.
Yeah, she's always been that way in everything. In fact, even approaching her 90th birthday, 2 weeks before she died. And I think she knew she was, on her last legs. In the month before she died, she said, I want a hui. I want a hui with ngā pui. And she had a hui and just gave it to them. Told them, tip up, pom, 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 pom. And I think it just took her all that energy out of her and she passed away a couple of weeks later.
Whoa.
Yeah, but she's always been that way. So that's where it comes from my mum.
Wow. Was there any particular memory outside of that as a, young boy and seeing mum that way where you're like,
no. Just memories. I remember coming home from school once and said, Mum, how come we've got Māori names, but all my Māori mates have all got Pākehā names? She looked at me and she said, it's just because they don't know who they are, son, yet. But you know who you are. Who are you? And I gave him my name. Hone Pani Tāmati Waka Nene Harawira. All right, and you know where that name comes from? Yes. So, well, it's really important that you know that. Don't ever let anybody tell you anything else. Yeah, and I found out that those Māori mates of mine, as we grew to teenagers, I went off to St. Stephen's, but I caught up with a lot of them later. They all had Māori middle names, but they were all given Pākehā names. And they all grew up using those Pākehā names because their parents didn't want to have their names misused or to have, them treated like dumb Maoris or something like that. Yeah, but Mum was different. She said, don't ever let anybody tell you you shouldn't have that name or not to be proud of it. You be strong with that name.
Wow.
So even right from when we were kids, she was always like that with us.
Feels like hearing that kōrero and I guess the way that, the public has seen you, it feels as the way that you speak, where it comes from is because you know what's right and you know what's tika.
Yeah.
And you're unmovable or unshakable on those things.
Well, pretty much when she was around. If I tried,
True,
not to be like that, I need to talk to you, son.
You'd rather get it from the public than from mama, eh?
That's right. I'd rather cop the flak for being strong in public than cop the flak for mama for not being strong enough.
Yeah.
She was never domineering about it, but because she was strong and because she was fearless about it, she just made us believe that if after what you have studied and the people that you discuss, talk things through with, once you understand something to be true, then hold to that truth. And don't let anybody try to change that in you. And if they do, you take them to task and you tell them why it is the way it is. Yeah. So I was 68 when she passed away. So all of those years, right from when I was a little kid.
I think as a father of myself and, even think about my wahine, just shows the significance of how we are towards our children and instilling that confidence, instilling that sense of identity into a kiritana. And the more we can I guess, anchor ourselves into being there for our tamariki so they can be strong within themselves. I think that's probably a thing to be proud of as a parent.
Yeah.
And, for your mama to have that influence on you. And
certainly back in those days.
Yeah, true.
And this would have been 1960 when she started naming my older brother and my older sister, myself, younger sister, And just first 4 of us just full Māori names, tupuna names as well. So
it's cool to see that's coming back around. You see a lot of, you probably have mokopuna.
After kids been called Bill, George, Jerry, Mary, and all that kind of stuff, and now you get named, ko te whare o te rā, I te take, blah, 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 blah. Come on, bro, they're just going to call that child whare. So be careful what you call a name and understand what they're likely to call them.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that child's name is blah, 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 blah. So, but probably not even their friends are going to call them that. So understand that and make sure that your child carries a name that they can carry.
Yeah, that's right.
Comfortably.
And so we're here
some beautiful names I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And so much better than all of this. No offense out there, folks. Names like Chasnay and Biscuit. And I think, oh, God. Have you not learned anything over the last 50 years? Still.
But it sounds cool to some people, eh?
Oh,
so they're doing it for the sound, the uniqueness, but too far.
But really, it sounds cool to that parent at that
that's
time,
right.
Eh?
Yeah.
Whereas a good Māori name, has resonance all that person's life, all their life. And they don't get mixed up.
And he went to St. Stephen's, and my uncle went there, Willie Tulloch, and I was just with them over the Christmas period, and he was talking about the school reopening. And what are your whakaaro? Yeah, what are your whakaaro about that? The kura that you went to, went to Moi for a little while, and now it's coming back. What is your whakaaro about it being a St. Stephen's boy?
I love tipene. It did wonders for so many of us. And I think without us even really honestly noticing it, it prepared us to be strong, educated. But I think it just, I know this is sort of braggy, but I think it taught us to understand the principles of leadership. We never had any leadership training while we were there. But I always, put it this way, I always got the feeling that when we were tipene, the education factor that ran through that place was excellence is normal. And that we should always strive to be at the highest level we possibly can be. Rather than we had a lot of mainstream schools, Māori kids are either getting suspended or expelled or all that kind of carry on or dodging classes and that. None of that was a reality at St. Stephen's. See, the reality was always...
The standard was high.
It was always high. And because of the class numbers were small, the school number was always small. There was no hiding. You couldn't dodge a class. Not possible. So, you were challenged to... And it wasn't just the class. Whether it was a class, football, kapahaka, pretty much any endeavour. It was a sense that you were expected to do as well as you could while you were there. So,
Man.
And, good history. And I think in a way, I don't completely blame the government for it closing. I think there was a need for it to end the way it did. And I'm glad. Because now we get a chance to rebuild, taking the good parts from the legacy, but into a new world.
And it's opening up popo, eh?
And it opens up world. The first cohort, about 30, 35 kids. Third formers, what's that? Year 9?
Year 9.
Year 9s.
And that's what they're doing, eh? They're doing year 9s, and then next year they'll go to year 10s, then more year 9s, eh? So it's having that tuakana tainga kind of approach.
But also so that you're not starting with a complete mix of kids, and these ones are bringing all kinds of strange attitudes in to the young ones who may not understand that and won't get a chance to learn. This way, by the time these year 9s are year 10, they will have a complete understanding of what the kōrero is, because they are not influenced by anything else. But
That's so cool, especially as an old boy and, seeing the legacy coming back to life. And it's a good preface for what we're seeing at the moment as well. Where Waitangi, once upon a time, you were the young, ambitious, radical, young
just a radical.
And you're all guns blazing alongside Tama Toa, and now we're seeing a different reanga of that same thing. And so we're at Waitangi on the grounds. What are you seeing at the moment in regards to everything?
The funny thing was, I sat down up the top in front of the whare, and Peter Tipene comes along and goes, "Oh, Tipene front row. Peter Tipene is from St. Stephen's, Wasi Shortland's from St. Stephen's, and me." I had a chuckle. Yeah, the world changes, mate. And then we've got another one right down the end of the government line, Shane. Oh, God. Yeah, so... But what I'm seeing in this new generation, and I started seeing it over the last couple of years with some of the activations that the Toi 2 crew was pulling. I was going, holy shit. At first I was kind of pissed off. I said, these young punks think they are. But then I stood back and had a really good thing. I thought, they pulled something off which hit towns all around the country. I thought, wow, that was amazing. And then they did it again a few months later. I thought, shit, there's something here. So when the kōrero came around about was it going to be a hikoi and who was going to be running it, I backed Toi 2. I backed the younger ones. I said, shit, we did this 20 years ago, but, we have to back the energy, back the drive that we had, back it in today's generation. And, amazing. And the way they communicate, they push a button and 30,000 people know what's going on. They said to me, say, how did you do it back in your day, Papa? I said, well, I had to organise to get 22 different venues for us to stay at. Wow, how'd you do that? I says, well, I had to ring 22 different. I had to talk to them all and convince them all and explain it all and da-da-da-da-da. I had to do it.
Was these all for the activations or the rallies or the protests back in those times, eh?
That was just
word of mouth, phone calls.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Far right.
Yeah, there was no such thing as, well, we were able to do a conference call. That was, for us, that was high technology. And we had one conference call. And I said, well, here's the deal. I told you all individually, but here's the deal. I'll bring it. I'm happy to bring it. All I need to know is when I hit your town, you will make sure that we're picked up from when we arrive in your town. You will have us delivered safely to wherever the marae is, the kai, the dara, and you'll be in charge of wherever else we march in that town on our way out. And everybody picked that up.
Wow.
It was perfect. But I mean, nowadays, they don't even go like this, they just go like this.
Yeah, it's just all the thumb. It's all thumb action.
Mate.
You don't even have to talk on the phone. You just sort of type it all out.
That Māori thing I say to people, nowadays it was kanohi ki te kanohi, but nowadays it's kōnui ki te kōnui.
Kōnui ki te kōnui.
Yeah, that's what it is now, mate.
And one thing that I want to bring up, is you're very well known for your one-liners when, the news or the media seems to be on you. Is that planned or does it just come out?
Oh, no, it's planned.
Yeah, true.
I learned just as an activist back in the day that, and we used to do Marxism training with Don Aotearoa.
Wow.
She caught me reading a comic and booted me out. Anyway, we did all that kind of stuff. We really studied hard. We learned all of the sorts of things, the Māori stuff, everything we needed to know. And, we would write, voluminous documents and send it off to the press. And then we'd rant and rave why they didn't print it. And then we'd shorten it. And then after a while, you got to realize that there's a style to getting your stuff into an article. And there's a way of pretty much ensuring your article gets in. And there's also a style that you learn from that for the spoken interview. And it comes, what it comes right down to is they ask you a question about a particular person, you know, you just say, I want to smash that prick. you guarantee, you know, you're guaranteed that you're going to get the first lot on the 6:30 news that night.
Yeah.
And it'll be in the newspapers, you know, so you just make sure that what your follow-up comments are also worth listening to. You know? So that captures the news. I also learned...
You probably mean it too.
Yeah. Well, most of the time I didn't actually, but it was just a simple way of saying what a lot of people felt.
100.
But I learned also when I went to Parliament that you crossed the bridge on the way to the House and the whole nation's media was right there. This was not this media. Again, in that time it was the media. The New Zealand Herald, TV1, TV3.
Which was big back then, eh?
Everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the Dominion, the Christchurch Press, all of them, they were there, Radio New Zealand. And I knew that if I could just drop a verbal bomb, that swoop on me. And once they swoop, they might ask me about the bomb, but then I'd say, tell them what
you really wanted to say.
What we're really talking about, boom.
Sure. So there's an
some
art
of it
to
might
it,
get in, some of that might get in, some of it mightn't, but you get the media. I know I've watched some really good people, intelligent people, far more intelligent than me, try to be really intelligent with the media. The media doesn't care.
Nah.
The media only wants the snapshot, eh?
Mm-hmm. So
you also learn to regulate your words so that they are snapshotable. So, short bite sizes for the mainstream media. They gobble it up.
And what are you seeing at the moment, you know, for us here being a Waitangi and, you know, the government wasn't allowed to, well, they came on, but, you know, Ngāpuhi said, you know, don't come, but they ended up coming. What do you make of all of that today?
Yeah, I would not have allowed them to have the microphone. I would have kept a woman in the middle, and I would have kept them singing until they realised they weren't, you know, they'd been welcomed. They'd had one person speak, and that's enough. The rest of you, I just want to show off your policies and show off yourselves. Well, we're not here for that, sorry. You've been welcomed. But welcomed in as brief a fashion as Ngāpuhi wants you to understand. And to see David Seymour get up, and then all of the kaumata stand up and turn their backs on it. Wow, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I stood up and I supported them. Then I saw our women had all been squeezed into a corner, and I thought, them with their red blankets, you know, they become a very powerful visual force, but never allowed to show it. And apparently they've been squeezed up in that box by the police. So I just walked up and said, hey, come out here and take the line right down there. They said, oh, the police don't know. Fuck the police, mate. They don't own this place. This is ours. No, come on. The cops would say, oh, what's happening? I says, hey, get out of the way. Don't touch the woman. You have no authority to touch the woman, and leave them alone. Your job is to protect those guys over there, not touching the woman. They'll piss off. Woman just, once they did it, boom, it just changed the whole ahu up there. And I thought, they were great, eh? Wow. They didn't do anything special except stand there, be strong, turn their backs, so they're facing their own kaumātua and their own people. And, they just sent a really strong presence, I think. Yeah, that presence was awesome. And then I left. I thought, I'd heard a bit of David Seymour's, but I thought, I don't want to listen to these politicians.
But he's still carrying on, eh? He's still talking while all of this happening, eh? He saw the mic get taken off him. He's still talking away.
Rabbiting on. And once you take a mic off of somebody up there, and then the woman started to sing, because he started to carry on talking, I said, start singing. So away they went, singing a couple of their songs. They just cut his knees away.
Have you ever seen that before? Is that the first time you've seen that?
Never. I've never seen that before. And the other thing too is that's also that thing of women understanding their power. Like you can expect people like Hone Harawira, Eru Kapakingi, and others, you know, to break through and do all kinds and say outrageous things and do outrageous things. But when the women make a stand like that, they're almost untouchable because they're holding true to kaupapa. They're not hitting anyone. They're not even saying anything. And then when they start to sing, how can you disagree with women singing? Yeah. So it's about them feeling comfortable in their own power. And I was glad to see how strong they were when they just took that line.
Wow, that's so mean.
It was great, eh?
Man, you can feel the Māori, even just
exactly.
being here. Even just being here on the grounds, because a lot of people who might be watching this podcast or listening in, they know Waitangi, but they might not know the history, and they certainly haven't been here on the grounds. Is there a way for you to describe like what's actually going on here?
Up the top?
Yeah, or even just on the grounds in total, because because what's on the media is just what's
kind of different. Because yesterday I came on with the Queen, when the motu was welcomed on, and that was very rare for me to be welcomed on to Waitangi. I'm always on Waitangi. I was there. And then today to be on the Hokainga side. I didn't speak yesterday. I didn't speak today. Didn't need to. I was comfortable with today that all of those kaumātua decided one speaker, Apira Hama. They got up and just said, kahuri. Everybody else knew. Don't stand. Went across to Tama. I think Tama made a bit of a fool of himself trying to say, oh, yes, I'm a kaupapa. I'm a kupapa that helped to get this, a kupapa that helped to get that. And we were sitting there thinking, yeah, that's not the point we're talking about, Dave. Eh? You're the kupapa that killed off all of the Māori on the tribunal so you can put some fucking white racist motherfuckers on there. That's what you've done. That's why we call you a kupapa. That other stuff, yeah, we're grateful for. But then that's what we would expect of any minister.
That's right.
Of Māori affairs. So you're just doing your job and this stuff. But the other stuff was actually to take away icons of the Māori world. People like Tom Roa, like, Linda Smith, those sorts of people, and replace them with people who are not only have no knowledge of the treaty and its history, but probably have a dislike of our kaupapa.
That's right.
So he's actually taken away people who not only understand both sides of the argument, he's replaced them with people who only understand one side of the argument. That's to hate the treaty. So,
are you confident that we're going to get through this?
Yeah, I have to be. I have to be. Otherwise, I'd be picking up and going to Australia. So, no, I love this place. I live for my mokopunas. I have to believe that what we do, they will benefit from. I mean, I'm talking to my mokopuna just last night. I said, time to go to bed. Turn the light off, done. She looks at me, she goes, why? Oh, jeez.
She's not ready. She's not ready to go to bed.
Oh, man. She's growing up just like her grandmother. They're always already. So I just have a little bit of a chuckle.
Yeah.
I said, because Hawaii ho means you've got to wake up bright and early, darling. That's why. Yeah, so. Oh. Yeah. So, I have belief. But one of the things I said in the hui today was for us to be strong in our pursuit of our world and re-establishing our world so that its presence becomes an undeniable force for good, undeniable force for good. Of course, well recognized everywhere in the world. Just not here.
Just not here now.
Just not here. And the Olympics showed it absolutely. With even Pākehā athletes saying that they'd never ever felt so comfortable in the efforts they put in until that kaupapa Māori was introduced to them, and they loved it. And so to see that over there and to see how other people in the world respect it is to recognise instantly that the people over here who are putting it down are doing it for nasty reason. We don't have to understand all of the detail. They're wrong. They're wrong. So we have to be strong, not just in defense of that world, but in promoting that world. Promoting our world, te ao Māori, as the world that the whole world is looking for.
Mm.
Yeah, te ao Māori. No, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way of other Indigenous people. They all have that world. That Indigenous world is the only world that can save the world. So we have that. But in doing so, understand that that's just a part of our life. And another part is the part that I think a lot of us don't want to do, which is actually to know the enemy, to understand the enemy, to challenge the enemy, and to defeat the enemy. And that's a world away from the Māori stuff. It's actually fighting the man in his own world and stopping him.
Mm.
So that's the other part we have to focus on. And sometimes I think we get so caught up in the beauty of the Māori world, you can't help it, that we become so pro-Māori that we don't see so
The
many
things that
others,
are happening on the other. Yeah.
and so many people out there who are wanting to support the things we want, but we don't know how to work with them any longer because we become so pro-Māori.
Mm.
And I hearken back to the days of Ngā Tama Toa. Ngā Tama Toa no, was only about a dozen people. You know, change the world with a dozen people. And we didn't have support of iwi. There's no iwi back in those days. No iwi authorities anyway. The New Zealand Māori Council didn't support us. But other active organisations in Pacifica, like the Polynesian Panthers, they backed us.
Wow.
Pākehā, anti-racist groups, they backed us. Lawyers who knew that things were wrong, they backed us. So Tamatoa was able to use that energy of a wider collective to work, to build change. And then others came in and, made their change a reality, etc., etc. And I've looked to so many things, the Springbok tour, our marches to Waitangi back in the old days, our fight for rights and housing and all that kind of stuff, our fights against the police, or supporting the Polynesian Panthers.
Far out, like a revolution.
Like raids, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It is about working with others. And sometimes you become so pro-Māori, you don't really understand how to work with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But we have to come back to understanding that there's a wealth of support out there, genuine support, who just don't like the extractive, exploitive, destructive, dismissive kind of politics that we have now. The denigrating of people because of where they're born. Oh, rubbish. It's just nasty, eh?
Yeah.
And is that the world you want? Because if it isn't, then let's work together to change it. And not just in the ballot box, but in many other ways.
Is there something, like there might be someone listening or watching and, they feel the Māori, they feel something within them and they want to be able to do more? Or there might even just be people out there who might be completely ignorant and feel like their efforts in trying might not even amount to anything. Is there any kind of kōrero or encouragement or any small action that people like them could take to be more involved?
Yeah, that's I don't refer people to iwi just because there's iwi all around the country. I don't refer people to iwi authorities necessarily, because I think iwi get caught up in a lot of the corporate activity of the world, which is not exactly doing good things for those of us.
You're part of the iwi.
Yeah. Te pani me te rawakore their lives are not being enriched by iwi getting millions, as a simple way of putting it. But yeah, I just say to people, I keep an eye out for toitu in particular, because there are toitu groups and advocates and contacts all around the country. Learn what it is that they're doing and why. Get involved for those Pākehā who have very much like an environmental bent. There's a lot of that sort of stuff, anti-racist stuff. There are groups out there. There's the Pākehā Anti-Treaty Network. I ran into one of them here. She said the good thing about this government is it's really lifted their numbers. So they're feeling really comfortable about rebuilding their networks and getting stuff printed to share around. So yeah, just watch out for those sorts of things around the place. Defending the things defending the land and our seas, and in defending the language and our culture, in defending the rights of all. Those sorts of organizations, and just give people a call, say, hey, how can I help? Because there's lots of people out there, and people wanting a hand. Nobody's so good that they can do it all.
Yeah.
People, even today, people say, oh, you're the man. I said, please. There's so many people out there doing so many good. Oh, yeah, but no.
But you're on Harawira.
I know. I said, you've got to come to a point where you're looking in the mirror and saying to yourself that you are the man for the things that you can do in your life. That's all. I have a knack, put it that way. I have a knack, I know, of saying what is in the hearts and minds of many of our people, and even many Pākehā people. I have a way of saying it in a way that most others can't. So when I say to people, hey, that's me, no, absolutely, I believe that. But that's just me saying it, and that inspires people to then want to do something. Please don't ring me. Look around yourself, because it's in your communities and in your families that those changes can be made.
Fast. It's been a awesome kōrero, and I feel it's come like full circle around. We started off talking about your mama, and a lot of what you've been speaking about is instilling that belief, instilling that confidence, and certainly in myself, and hopefully within the listeners, that there is more that we can do, and it's just having that belief that we are, what would I say, there's purpose or there's value in ourselves and in our sovereignty. And having that alone can inspire the action to reach out, to be a part of activations, to build the networks. Because when you go to activations, you're actually becoming a part of something, and you're meeting people that you haven't seen before, but you're there for a common cause.
I don't even know how your fellows activations work, man. I just say, well, activate away, just give me a call.
When it's happening.
Well, when it's happening, let me know what you want me to do. We're always going to be there. But like you say, you can talk in that world, and you can understand the way that works. And, I'm just amazed at how many, my mokopuna stay all
into it.
They're into it. Like apparently when they used my speech from Waitangi last year and tagged it onto a rap, and it went viral.
Wow, went viral, man.
Yeah. And my mokopuna said, see,
you're a rapper now?
She said, see all of these? I said, what are all of those? She says, those are just some of the things where they've used that waiata in their message. I said, well, that's cool. And that's the thing, it's not about me. Only the guy rang me up, or somebody rang me up to say, would I mind? Of course you can use it.
Yeah.
It was just something I said on the day. I don't own it. That's a message for everybody.
And it was a good way for it to actually go to way more people.
That's right. Because he turned it into something.
Yeah.
There wasn't just kōrero. He added it to something. Man, when I listen, I go, oh, that's pretty cool. Then I realized it's because I said it, but it's, hearing it with the music attached to it, really just adds to it. So
cool. And do you feel like you've passed over the torch to this new reanga who's...
And I'm talking to some of the other OGs who are starting to feel that too. So just, back them as much as you can. When we have, like, we're going to have a kōrero meeting with some of them, because we have a few criticisms as well, but we'll save that until we get together with them, say, we think this, and this. But again, it's your will. Understand what those criticisms are. They might be of value to you, but they might be, you go, we're way past that shit. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But at least in the sharing of it, we understand how we can work with one another. And so I'm really comfortable being at a level where they can ring me anytime.
Man,
I'm happy to help.
Man, it's been an awesome kōrero, Matua, and I really want to thank you for, just coming in here into this little container and sharing this kōrero. But just want to pass it over to if you have any final words, if you want to share anything.
Just saying, I mentioned it in there, said it in there, and it just rings so many bells with me. It's a Pākehā one. I got up on a guy who was in jail in the Philippines. And he was always happy, always smiling, always positive. How can you be happy? How can you be smiling? Your president could kill you. You're in here because your president hates you for what you've done to try and fight what he's doing. He just looked at me, and apparently somebody else saying, but the way he said it really, hit my heart. He just looked at me and said, you know, happy are those who dream dreams and are prepared to pay the price to make those dreams come true. I thought, oh. And when I think about it afterwards, I think it's not about, that means you've got to die. No, heck no, just pay the price. It might be a little thing. The price to pay for me learning to speak Māori means I might lose a couple of Pākehā friends over here. But that's the price to pay because I really want to learn the language because I want to be part of that revolution.
Man, that's just going to take a moment to sit with that one. And what came to mind as you were having that kōrero was a quote that I've heard, and because it's a reframe on happiness is what you've shared. And there's also a reframe on success, and success isn't just about money, but it's actually working towards something that is of a worthy ideal, which means you're doing one little thing that's going towards something that you deem as worthwhile, and that's success.
That's
and so happiness is the same thing. It's paying a price for something that you really want. And I think within that, you know, we all have something that we know we could do, and we just got to pay the price. Or we just got to take that step. And so, you know, thank you for the kōrero. I have to do it again. All done. Tēnā koe.